There's a cylinder standing in your basement or your garage right now, about 5 feet tall, wrapped in a steel jacket, sweating a little in summer. It is the most expensive appliance in your house that you have never once thought about, and if you're like almost every homeowner in America, you have never chosen one in your life. There's a replacement for it that the Environmental Protection Agency's Energy Star program says saves a household of about $550 a year on the electric bill, and more than $5,600 over the life of the unit. $550 a year. It isn't new, and it isn't a prototype sitting in a lab somewhere. Sales data collected by Energy Star put it at 4% of every residential electric water heater sold in America in 2023, which means somewhere near you there are already people paying a quarter of what you pay to take a shower. So here's the twist. The reason you have never heard of it has almost nothing to do with the appliance itself. And before the end of this, I'm going to show you the 30% that quietly disappeared on January 1st, and then the 4-hour window, which is the actual answer. Stay for that second one. It's the part that decides whether any of this ever reaches your bank account. Go stand behind your refrigerator for a second. Put your hand on the coils at the back. They're warm, and they're warm because a refrigerator has never once made cold. It grabs the heat that's inside the box and dumps it into your kitchen. Now point that same trick at a water tank and run it backwards. That's the whole idea. Energy. Star describes it in one flat sentence. Heat pumps use electricity to move heat from one place to another, in this case from surrounding air to water. The box on the shelf at the hardware store calls it a heat pump water heater, or a hybrid electric water heater, and both names are on the same appliance. Compare that to what you almost certainly own. A standard electric tank has a metal element sitting down in the water, glowing, converting $1 of electricity into $1 of heat, and never a penny more. That is the honest ceiling of that design. The other one doesn't obey it because it isn't making heat at all. It's carrying heat that already exists in the room and stuffing it into your water. Energy. Star puts the yearly fuel cost of the heat pump version at between $104 and $160. A tank gas model runs between $200 and $300. Now the money, because the savings figure is only half of an equation, and the other half is uncomfortable. Installed in 2026, a heat pump water heater runs roughly $4,000. A plain electric replacement runs roughly $1,800. Those are the working figures published this year by Home Energy Decisions, whose author runs this arithmetic professionally and owns one of these units. Call the gap $2,200. Against that gap, the same analysis puts annual running costs at about $250 for the heat pump, about $700 for the standard electric tank you probably have, and about $330 for natural gas. So the two credible sources disagree, and it's worth saying so out loud rather than picking the friendlier one. Energy Star says the savings pay back the price difference in about 3 years for a household of 4. Home Energy Decisions says between 3 and 8 years, depending on your electricity rate and how much hot water actually leaves your taps. Picture 2 houses on the same street. Same square footage, same 4 people, same showers, same dishwasher, same laundry on Sunday. One of them replaced a failed electric tank with another electric tank and paid $1,800. The other paid $4,000 and put in the heat pump. Year 1, the second house, is $2,200 down and feeling stupid about it. Year 4, they're roughly even. Year 8, they're thousands ahead, and the first house has spent that entire time paying to run a glowing metal stick in a barrel of water. That's the halfway mark, and it's been the easy half because the saving is real and the arithmetic is simple. Everything after this is the part that decides whether you ever get to collect it. And there are 2 obstacles, one of which arrived 7 months ago. If this is the kind of thing you want more of, hit subscribe. And, like this video, it costs you nothing and it genuinely moves whether anyone else sees this. First obstacle, and it's the one that catches people out. If you heat your water with natural gas, the case shrinks hard. $330 a year against $250 is a saving of $80, and $80 a year does not repay a $2,200 gap inside the life of the tank. This appliance is a monster against electric resistance heating, and it is roughly a draw against cheap gas. Anyone who tells you otherwise is selling something. Now, the 30% that quietly disappeared on January 1st, for 3 years there was a federal tax credit, Section 25C, that covered 30% of the project cost of a qualifying heat pump water heater, capped at $2,000. On a $4,000 install, that credit did nearly all of the heavy lifting. It closed the gap almost completely. It is gone. The Internal Revenue Service states it plainly on its own page. The credit is allowed for qualifying property placed in service on or after January 1st, 2023, and before December 31st, 2025. A federal law signed in July 2025 terminated it, which means almost every article, brochure, and rebate page you will find on this subject this week is quoting a number that stopped existing. It is still sitting there in the copy. Nobody went back to delete it, and the arithmetic in front of you in 2026 is worse than the arithmetic those pages describe. Second obstacle, and this one is physical. Energy Star says these should go in an interior space that stays between 40 and 90 degrees Fahrenheit all year, with 1,000 cubic feet of air around them. That's roughly a 10-foot by 10-foot room. A sealed hallway closet is a bad home for one, a basement or an open garage is a good one, and because it pulls heat out of the air around it, it cools and dehumidifies the room it stands in. Energy. Star names that as a benefit during hot, humid months. In an unheated Minnesota garage in February, the same sentence reads differently, which brings us to the 4-hour window. Here's how a water heater actually gets replaced in America. It fails, it leaks across the floor overnight, or the showers go cold on a Tuesday and somebody makes a phone call. A market study published in 2024 by VEIC for the CalNext program found that emergency or imminent failure drives approximately 75% of water heater replacements in existing homes, and that plumbing contractors reportedly put the real number above 90%. Read the next finding slowly. In that same study, heat pump water heaters installed in emergency replacement scenarios were only 9% of tracked heat pump installations. 9%. The study is blunt about why. Restoring hot water on the same day at the lowest possible cost is the top priority for the customer and for the contractor. One plumber whose company had an electrician on staff reported being able to fit one within a maximum of 4 hours. Another said it could take up to a week. Guess which appliance goes on the truck when the family has been washing in cold water since Monday. So this was never really hidden. It was scheduled out of your reach. The decision gets made on the worst day, in the worst hour, by whoever is standing in your basement holding a wrench. There is a deadline underneath all this. Under efficiency standards, the Department of Energy finalized on April 30th, 2024, residential water heaters produced on and after May 6th. 2029 have to hit new levels, and electric storage tanks larger than 35 gallons will require heat pump technology to get there. The appliance almost nobody has heard of becomes the default in under 3 years, and the people who buy it after that will pay the full price with no federal credit waiting for them either. Your tank has a date on it, there's a sticker on the side carrying the year it was built, and if that year is old enough that you have to stop and think about it, you are already inside the window where these tanks start to go. Go and look at it this week, while you still have hot water and a choice. That's the entire difference between the $550 a year and the version of this where a stranger picks for you. Now I want to hear it. Drop a comment with 3 things. The year on the side of your tank, whether you're on gas or electric, and what your last replacement cost you. I read them, and the numbers you leave are better than anything a brochure will tell me.